Hey everyone, I'm here finally to do a run over of my GU Patrol. I've had this for about a year now. This replaced the Subaru, which replaced the old GU Patrol. This is a much requested video and never yet delivered, so let's start at the front and talk about what it is. So you're looking here at a 2001 ZD30 GU. Yep, that's the 3-litre turbo intercooled diesel. This is the motor that succeeded the old 2.8 RD28 that I had in my last GU. Pretty well known for exploding. A lot of people probably cringed expecting like grenade shrapnel to hit them when I said ZD30. This one's been alright so far. We'll talk more about under the bonnet in a moment, but let's see what's on the front. Just a standard Nissan, actually not Nissan, Aero bar alloy bar. No spotlights. It did for a little while. If you look back on a couple of videos, have a couple of the same as what I had on my old Patrol, Hella Rally 4000s. They had an orange rim painted around them, and I'd converted them to HID. Unfortunately, 2 or 3 months ago, I was driving at night on a track, came across a fallen tree, so I got out the drag chain, hooked it up under the bull bar, dragged this tree off the track, and then to slack off the drag chain I had to drive forward a bit. But I was in a bit of a rush, it was dark, I couldn't see much. So I drove forward to slacken off this chain, and what had happened was the tree had swung around and put a branch right here. So I drove forward and it went straight there into the spotties, bent them all up. I still reckon that's a good excuse to get a new pair of spotties anyway, they were getting on a bit, and at least it didn't go through the radiator. Over here, headlights look a little bit different. Headlights are from a Series 3 GU. So this is Series 2. My old white GU was Series 1. So I took a set of Series 3 headlights. I removed the glass, painted a bit of black around in there, did a LED headlight globe conversion, dressed them up a bit, makes it look a little bit more modern. And it's my alternative to fitting like a HID projector style fit out, which was going to cost about $1,200 for a set of lights. How do the LED replacement globes perform? Pretty good. They were better when I hadn't adjusted them when I first put them in, but they were blinding everyone. They threw light so far, but I would get flashed all the time. So I got in there and I adjusted the headlights down. I don't get flashed anymore. Can't see quite as far, but the spread of light is really good. Over there we've got an AirPro 7.5 decibel gain UHF antenna. I don't like it. I went for the higher decibel. In retrospect, maybe it was a bad decision. It used to have a 4.5 on it, which was pretty good, but I wanted a little bit more range. Now I know about the whole thing about hilly and dense terrain, high decibel antennas not being so good, but this is really bad. Like, it's not a dig at AirPro, but it gets me a couple of 100 meters in the bush, which is absolute rubbish. The mighty, venerable, unstoppable, unkillable, 1,000,000-kilometer lifetime engine that never blows up. Said nobody ever, ZD30. This one, Old Faithful. Just under 250,000 kilometers on the clock, relatively low, I like that. But if your ZD30 is going to blow, it's definitely done it before 150. This one's had the anti-grenade mods done to it. That consists of a doors valve and a needle valve and a catch can as well. Now, what do doors and needle valves do? Too deep of a thing to discuss right here and right now. All you need to know is that they're good, and if anybody's interested, let me know in the comments. I might make a video about how to make your ZD30 not explode. But I digress. Underneath here, we've got the wiring for the spotlights that no longer exist. Standard starter battery over here. Nothing to get excited about over this side of the engine. Now over here, we've got a second battery. That's actually a Century Marine battery. Warranty void if installed under bonnet, but I did it anyway because I've heard that they're pretty tough, and you can use them for cranking and deep cycling. So they've got a 100 amp hour deep cycle rating. And I've never had to use it for crank, but it's nice to know that if I killed my main battery, I could start off my second battery. Now that is charged just by a voltage sensing relay. No idea what brand that is. That can flow 140 amps, which means essentially you could use the trigger wire on this and just directly link those two batteries and start it without having to use jumper cables. Over here, those hoses there aren't the standard. They go down to the catch can in there. Here we've got the standard air filter box. That has an oiled uni filter in it. And then down here, hanging off the back of the turbo, there's a full 3-inch exhaust, dump pipe and all of that. This exhaust system has one muffler in it. Does it? Yeah. Does it have one muffler?
One muffler and a resonator.
Hang on, let me have a look. Yeah, so that system just has one muffler in it. I don't like the sound of a straight through exhaust on a 3-litre Patrol. It sounds like a fart. It doesn't really have much of a note to it, but it breathes easier, runs a little bit cooler, has better fuel economy too. Winning. Wheels and tyres. 16-inch ROH Monsoon alloy wheels, wrapped in a Falcon Wild Peak mud terrain tyre in 265/75 R16 size. So we're not on 33s, which is about what we were on the last Patrol I had. I think this is just under a 32, somewhere between a 31 and a 32 in the old money. The thing that pisses me off about the ROH Monsoons is I really like them. I reckon they look good on this car, but it has 4 of them, and I can't for the life of me find a 5th. They stopped making these rims ages ago. They were put on this car in probably 2004 or 2005. Can't find it. Found a set in Geraldton once, but that's Geraldton. That's a 4-hour drive from me. I was heading up to Dongra about a month after that, so I said to the bloke if he still had them, I'd take them off him, but he didn't still have them. Should have just made the special trip. Idiot. Nissan standard fitment alloy side steps. I have beaten them like they owe me money. See all that? Definitely not a rock slider. I might get rid of them someday. I don't mind too much that they're a little banged up. At least it's not the panels on the car. Roof rack. This is a roller item. The Titan tray. This is mighty. I love this thing. We've got 3 bars that it sits on. 1, 2 and 3. You get your 3 roller bars. Then you get the tray. This is the 2 metre by 1.8 metre tray. Then you've got the optional side rails here. They're handy for loosely tying things on with. Got a few tie down points which you can slide throughout channels. And I'm just using one of the roller straps here to hold down the second spare that I'm carrying for this trip. Haven't even needed to use a first spare yet. Pretty happy with that. You buy the light mount brackets separate. Mounts a light bar. That light bar doesn't actually do anything yet. I mounted it up there and ran out of daylight that day. That's as far as I got. It just sits up there looking pretty. Back here, I carry the set of treads with me. They're mounted on the roller recovery tracks mount. Again, part of the modular Titan tray system. Over here we got an Austrail awning. That's not a bad bit of gear. That's been on the car for a while. That's carried across from the last set of roof bars. It's got a reflective covering on it, which is really nice. So it's your normal canvas, but on the upper side, they've sprayed it with some silver reflective coating. Keeps a bit of the heat of the sun off here, which is pretty cool. As you can see, we've got all our Pilbara adventure gear strapped up here. 2 jerry cans, diesel. You get jerry can holders again as an option for the Titan tray system. Coleman shower tent. Just got a tin bucket strapped up in the middle there we've been using to heat water. And then back here you can see there's a swag. The roller gas bottle holder with I think it's a 4 kilo gas bottle strapped on. Oh, and to try and save my treads from theft, it's held on there by a bike lock chained to the rack. The suspension on the Patrol sucks. It's about an inch of lift, king springs and old man emu shocks. There's something in there is too firm. So it rides like you're sitting on a stack of bricks on a forklift. It's pretty harsh. So when we get to the tracks, I'm always excited to let my tyres down. Best bit of the day because I'm in comfort from there on, relatively anyway. I'm not too sure what to do with the suspension yet. I'd hoped to change it out before we came on this Pilbara trip, but time and money became an issue, so didn't get there. I know back when I started 4-wheel driving, all the talk was Rancho 9000 adjustables and Tough Dog adjustables. Do they still even exist? You don't hear about them anymore. Everyone seems to be talking about these remote res shocks. So if you've got an opinion on them, or like the old adjustable Ranchos or Tough Dogs, and if they're still a thing, if you've got an opinion on what I should go for, I'd love to hear it. If you want to pop that down in the comments, I'll have a read and get a bit of a chat started. Every wagon or ute or anything that's going to be used for camping needs a good setup, and this Patrol's got a pretty good one already. I think that's where I've spent most of my time and energy. Super cheap auto, help us out with the drawers. I've still got the same old angle that's been plugging along for years. That's just in a bag now. And the drawers obviously have a roller floor there. Got a fridge cage now. I've talked about that for years. Fridge cage is made out of an old screen door off my house. So you could say it was free, except for it cost me a new screen door to be able to replace the old one. But it's pretty good. It doesn't rattle too much. I was careful to Sikaflex where it joined to prevent rattling. It's pop riveted together using aluminium 90-degree channel there, and then the same 90-degree channel down here on the drawer level. The edge of it sits just over the fridge slide, but because of the way I've set up the channel, it doesn't scrape on the fridge slide as I pull it in and out. This is one of the boxes that used to live in my old Patrol. This is generally my food box. This carries one mixing bowl, and depending on the trip, I'll load it up with fresh food. I always keep a few tins of beans in there and, you know, canned meals for when I just want a quick night away. Down the side of the fridge cage here, I've got a barbecue plate that goes over your fire. What else do I keep? 100-watt solar panel blanket is in there. An awning extension for a bit more shelter on the awning. The door pocket's full of all sorts of odds and ends. I think I poked my ratchet straps in there. There's a few Reese pod lights. They're pretty nifty little things, just little battery powered pod lamps that you've got magnets on them, snap them up anywhere. Yeah, just a few odds and ends poked down there. And then on this side, same sort of deal. I keep ropes down there, all the roller mounting accessories, if I'm not bolting things onto the roof, get poked down there. As you can see, my side floor is not very accessible at all. So I used it for things I don't need to get too much. Underneath that side floor is actually, I very carefully measured it out, a Century AGM battery, 55 amp hour. That links up to, actually that's another thing that's alongside the fridge cage. The other battery wouldn't fit in there as well. So sitting on the side floor towards the front of the fridge cage is another version of exactly the same Century 58 amp hour battery. They're joined together in whatever one it is that keeps the voltage the same but doubles the capacity. So there's 116 amp hours worth of, there's 4 batteries, but third because of the way they're wired. 116 amp hours of battery. If you look up the back, on the back of the fridge cage, there's a projector DC to DC charger. That's a nifty little thing, 25 amp output. That takes charge from the main battery, comes back through to this. The projector boosts the current, boosts the voltage, whatever it needs to do to charge the AGM batteries. And also here, that Anderson plug goes down beneath the floor and is wired up to the same projector charger. That Anderson plug is for solar. So this charger can do solar as well. All I've got to do is plug in my solar blanket and charge from the sun. Inside the drawers, bit of a dog's breakfast at the moment. This side doesn't really get used all that much because this is all tools and recovery gear. Patrols don't break, they don't get bogged. So that drawer stays locked for most of the time. Nah, seriously though, I do go in here. The tools don't get a huge amount of use. I just break them out obviously when I need them. Recovery gear, it's all reasonably accessible. It's a bit of a dog's breakfast at the moment though. I do have something coming along with the Red Roads crew. They've got some really neat products for organising your drawers. So that's a future video. I'm going to show you what we do here with organisation. And this one's essentially the kitchen drawer. So back there lives my camp oven. It's inside a tub, which is my wash tub. I've got all my frying pan, plates, bowls, cutlery in here, all that associated business. Okay, excuse the mess. We are mid-trip and operational at the moment, but here is the back of the drawers. Usually the seats all live in here, the back row of seats, and they fold up fine. But to save a bit of weight and gain a bit of space for this 2-week trip, took them out. And I've got 1, 2, 3 20-litre jerrys of water there, 60 litres of water, and another 20 litres of diesel. So we've been carrying 60 litres of diesel all up for this trip as well. This is a curious thing you wouldn't see in many cars. This is a prototype of my own design for hauling all the camera gear I need. It was only meant to last me a couple of trips just to see if it worked or not. Works great. It's kind of falling apart, it's looking a bit sad. Again, I'd wanted to create a newer, updated version of that because it's literally just scraps of plywood, screwed, glued, and nailed together. It's falling apart a little bit at the back. I fully expected that we would have used it for firewood by now, but it's still relatively in one piece. So we've got these 3 safe cases that slot into there, so I can just slide out whichever one I want. The problem I was having, I always kept my safe cases full of camera gear there, but to stop them flying all over the car, I'd have to strap them down to the floor of the drawers. And then maybe I want the drone, well, the drone's in the case on the bottom. I've got to undo the strap, find a place to put all these cases, get the drone case out, and then restack all the stuff. It just wasn't working out. Again, because it's a prototype, it's just held on by Oki straps. I normally run a couple across the front of it. So in the future model, I'll do something to hold them in there a little neater. This is the other side of the fridge cage there. And up the top here, we've got a projector. I think it's a 1800 watt power I really don't need, but it's nice to have. That's wired up only to the 3rd battery in here. Over here, I've got 2 12-watt plugs connected to the 3rd battery and 2 12-watt plugs connected to the 2nd battery. All right, here we go. This is where I spend me hours. You know, it's not too much exciting. My phone just sits up there on a vent mount holder. I've got somewhere buried down the side of the seat that this cable's connected to. There's a 3 outlet USB charger. Charges the phone, charges the tablet here for navigation, and whatever 3rd thing I need to do. At the moment, that's Jake's phone because he's riding with me. Now down here, we've got the Ridge Rider 80 channel 5-watt UHF. Very compact model, courtesy of Super Cheap Auto. Hooked us up with that one. And there's the handpiece for that, obviously. Nothing exciting in the way of tunes. We've got the standard tape deck. I run one of those cassette adapters so I can listen to music off my phone. And we've got standard speakers in the doors. They do for now. I'll probably upgrade the speakers so as I can just hammer the factory head unit harder. So down here, I've got the Samsung Galaxy 10.1 inch, I don't know, tablet. That has memory maps, so I use memory map software on that. I run the Oztopo 250 maps alongside the full HEMA set four-wheel drive maps. That seems to work pretty good for me so far in terms of being able to plan it on the computer and send it off to the tablet and send everything I log on the tablet back to the computer. The app is free and then you pay for the maps. And there's a pro version of the app, of course. That's hooked up to a seat mount, so this mount on the back of it actually goes down to the seat bolt. I looked into these mounts. I paid about $290 for the tablet. It was going to cost me more than that just for a proper Ram branded mount, and I can't justify spending more on the mount than I did on the tablet. I can't remember the name of the mount that I ended up getting, but it looked of similar quality to the Ram mount. From what I'd read on various forums and sources across the interwebs, the seat bolt Ram mount allows your tablet to wiggle around a hell of a lot. That it does. So I set it down here and there's just a piece of cloth between the bottom of the tablet and the center console of the car, and having it sit on something, it doesn't wobble at all. It's actually really good. Otherwise, up in the corner here, I've got a boost gauge that just loves just kicking around on the dash. Hey, it just doesn't like to be chained down to anything. It's a free spirit. Got a reverse camera rear mirror here. That was really good, but then the reverse camera snapped and now it just hangs down over my number plate and I can't see a thing, so that's kind of pointless. And there you go, folks. That's what I'm riding around in these days. So, trusty, reliable GU Patrol. You'll see more on it as it grows and changes. If I do get around to doing that suspension, hopefully after hearing some of your suggestions, I'll be sure to make a backyard mechanic video on that for you. But until then, I'm going to go and continue enjoying the Pilbara. I'm going to go and make a cooking video for you now on how to do a stew. I don't think I've covered that one yet, but I don't know why. It's probably the most simple thing you could cook. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.